Chapter 10, Pranic Treatments. Not only is it possible for one person to treat another by pranic force, but one may also treat himself or herself with considerable effect, in the same way. This may seem strange at first thought, for the underlying principle of pranic healing seems to be that the healer sends a supply of pranic force to the affected parts, supplying the deficiency of prana in those parts. This is true, but when it is remembered that one may draw prana from the universal supply, and then distribute the same to the parts, it will be seen that one may treat himself by this method. In fact, it is claimed by some that the deficiency of prana lies in the fact that it is not equally distributed, from some state of contraction or congestion, and that the real process of pranic healing consists in an equalization, or distribution of the prana throughout the system. At any rate, everyone may benefit himself or herself by giving or self pranic treatments. In order to give these treatments correctly, one should acquaint himself with the movements or forms of treatment mentioned in our previous chapters, relating to the treatment of others by the pranic method, and should then endeavor to reproduce these movements upon themselves. Beginning with the pranic breathing, the person should fill his nerve centers full of fresh prana, and then to proceed to redistribute it throughout his system in the way of a general treatment, following up the same by a special treatment of the affected parts. It is wonderful how much good one may do himself in this way, and how invigorated and strong he will feel after such a treatment. Of course, one cannot treat himself as handily as he could treat another, for the reason that he cannot handle himself as well, but a little practice, and the exercise of a little ingenuity in the application of the treatments, will do wonders. The manipulations, kneading, stroking, vibration treatment, and many of the other forms and degrees of treatment, may be successfully administered by oneself. We do not think it necessary to go into details of this treatment here, for this would be but a repetition of the forms of treatment given in the previous chapters. All that we can say is that if you will acquaint yourself thoroughly with the directions given in the said chapters, you will have at your command a mighty source of relief and cure, that you may be in danger of overlooking simply because of its simplicity and plainness. We have known of many persons who have treated themselves successfully in this way, and we see no reason why anyone cannot do likewise. The best instruction that we can give you is to start in and do it, according to the directions already given. Do not neglect the breathing exercises, as that lies at the basis of the entire treatment. Now, this chapter 1. Short, and many of you may not attach to it the importance that you would grant it if it were padded out. But we assure you that if you read it carefully you will find that it contains a hint of a very valuable and important truth, which hint, if taken, may lead to wonderful results. The plainest things are often the most valuable, but, alas, we neglect them because they are so plain and simple, and run after some other things, not half so good, simply because they seem more complex and wonderful. Do not make this mistake, friends. The following exercises will be found most useful in pranic healing: prana distributing. Lying flat on the floor or bed, completely relaxed, with hands resting lightly over the solar plexus, over the pit of the stomach, where the ribs begin to separate. Breathe rhythmically. After the rhythm is fully established, that each inhalation will draw in an increased supply of prana or vital energy from the universal supply, which will be taken up by the nervous system and stored in the solar plexus. At each exhalation that the prana or vital energy is being distributed all over the body, to every organ and part, to every muscle, cell and atom, to nerve, artery and vein, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, invigorating, strengthening and stimulating every nerve, recharging every nerve center, sending energy, force and strength all over the system. While exercising the will, try to form a mental picture of the inrushing prana, coming in through the lungs and being taken up at once by the solar plexus, then with the exhaling effort, being sent to all parts of the system, down to the fingertips and down to the toes. It is not necessary to use the will with an effort. Simply commanding that which you wish to produce and then making the mental picture of it is all that is necessary. Calm command with the mental picture is far better than forcible willing, which only dissipates force needlessly. The above exercise is most helpful and greatly refreshes and strengthens the nervous system and produces a restful feeling all over the body. It is especially beneficial in cases where one is tired or feels a lack of energy. Inhibiting pain. Lying down or sitting erect, breathe rhythmically, holding the thought that you are inhaling prana. Then when you exhale, send the prana to the painful part to re-establish the circulation and nerve current. Then inhale more prana for the purpose of driving out the painful condition. Then exhale, holding the thought that you are driving out the pain. Alternate the two above mental commands, and with one exhalation stimulate the part and with the next drive out the pain. Keep this up for 7 breaths, then rest a while. Then try it again until relief comes, which will be before long. Many pains will be found to be relieved before the 7 breaths are finished. If the hand is placed over the painful part, you may get quicker results. Send the current of prana down the arm and into the painful part. Directing the circulation, lying down or sitting erect, breathe rhythmically, and with the exhalations direct the circulation to any part you wish, which may be suffering from imperfect circulation. This is effective in cases of cold feet or in cases of headache, the blood being sent downward in both cases, in the first case warming the feet, and in the latter, relieving the brain from too great pressure. In the case of headache, try the pain inhibiting first, then follow with sending the blood downward. You will often feel a warm feeling in the legs as the circulation moves downward. The circulation is largely under the control of the will, and rhythmic breathing renders the task easier. General self-healing. Lying in a relaxed condition, breathe rhythmically, and command that a good supply of prana be inhaled. With the exhalation, send the prana to the affected part for the purpose of stimulating it. Vary this occasionally by exhaling, with the mental command that the diseased condition be forced out and disappear. Use the hands in this exercise, passing them down the body from the head to the affected part. In using the hands and healing yourself or others, always hold the mental image that the prana is flowing down the arm and through the fingertips into the body, thus reaching the affected part and healing it. Of course, we can give only general directions in this book without taking up the several forms of disease in detail, but a little practice of the above exercise, varying it slightly to fit the conditions of the case, will produce wonderful results. Some yogis follow the plan of placing both hands on the affected part, and then breathing rhythmically, holding the mental image that they are fairly pumping prana into the diseased organ and part, stimulating it and driving out diseased conditions, as pumping into a pail of dirty water will drive out the latter and fill the bucket with fresh water. This last plan is very effective if the mental image of the pump is clearly held, the inhalation representing the lifting of the pump handle and the exhalation the actual pumping. Recharging yourself. If you feel that your vital energy is at a low ebb, and that you need to store up a new supply quickly, the best plan is to place the feet close together, side by side, of course, and to lock the fingers of both hands in any way that seems the most comfortable. This closes the circuit, as it were, and prevents any escape of prana through the extremities. Then breathe rhythmically a few times, and you will feel the effect of the recharging. Brain stimulating. The yogis have found the following exercise most useful in stimulating the action of the brain for the purpose of producing clear thinking and reasoning. It has a wonderful effect in clearing the brain and nervous system, and those engaged in mental work will find it most useful to them, both in the direction of enabling them to do better work and also as a means of refreshing the mind and clearing it after arduous mental labor. Sit in an erect posture, keeping the spinal column straight, and the eyes well to the front, letting the hands rest on the upper part of the legs. Breathe rhythmically, but instead of breathing through both nostrils as in the ordinary exercises, press the left nostril close with the thumb, and inhale through the right nostril. Then remove the thumb, and close the right nostril with the finger, and then exhale through the left nostril. Then, without changing the fingers, inhale through the left nostril, and changing fingers, exhale through the right. Then inhale through right and exhale through left, and so on, alternating nostrils as above mentioned, closing the unused nostril with the thumb or forefinger. This is one of the oldest forms of yogi breathing, and is quite important and valuable, and is well worthy of acquirement. The Grand Yogi Psychic Breath. The yogis have a favorite form of psychic breathing which they practice occasionally, to which has been given a Sanskrit term of which the above is a general equivalent. We have given it last, as it requires practice on the part of the student in the line of rhythmic breathing and mental imagery, which he has now acquired by means of the preceding exercises. The general principles of the grand breath may be summed up in the old Hindu saying, "Blessed is the yogi who can breathe through his bones." This exercise will fill the entire system with prana, and the student will emerge from it with every bone, muscle, nerve, cell, tissue, organ and part energized and attuned by the prana and the rhythm of the breath. It is a general house cleaning of the system, and he who practices it carefully will feel as if he had been given a new body, freshly created, from the crown of his head to the tips of his toes. We will let the exercise speak for itself. 1. Lie in a relaxed position, at perfect ease. 2. Breathe rhythmically until the rhythm is perfectly established. 3. Then, inhaling and exhaling, form the mental image of the breath being drawn up through the bones of the legs, and then forced out through them, then through the bones of the arms, then through the top of the skull, then through the stomach, then through the reproductive region, then as if it were traveling upward and downward along the spinal column, and then as if the breath were being inhaled and exhaled through every pore of the skin, the whole body being filled with prana and life. 4. Then, breathing rhythmically, send the current of prana to the 7 vital centers, in turn, as follows, using the mental picture as in previous exercises. A. To the forehead. B. To the back of the head. C. To the base of the brain. D. To the solar plexus. E. To the sacral region, lower part of the spine. F. To the region of the navel. G. To the reproductive region. Finish by sweeping the current of prana, to and fro, from head to feet several times.